The whole area around Demesne Road has been sealed off to the public and will remain so for some time to come. The police are treating the fire as suspicious. A further update in a press conference is due to be held around 2 o'clock this afternoon.
The IoM Constabulary has launched a murder-style investigation following the discovery of a body, believed to be, but as yet unconfirmed, that of a man in his 60s. The body was discovered following a serious fire which effectively glutted flat premises at 19 Demesne Road, and the man is believed to have been an occupant of one of the flats in that building. The circumstances that give rise to this investigation are that between 2 and 3 p.m. on Saturday the 21st of March 2009, a fire was reported in the rear yard of 59 Bucks Road. A sofa and mattress had been set alight. Around 2:30 a.m. on Sunday the 22nd of March 2009, the fire alarm at an address in Peveril Street, which is extremely close to Demesne Road, activated, and the occupants found that the fire had been started in a rear room of their home. The occupants had extinguished the fire and did not contact the police or the fire brigade. Within approximately 20 to 30 minutes of this fire, a further fire was discovered in the utility room of an address in Clark Street, Douglas, again extremely close to Demesne Road and Peveril Street. At 4:06 a.m. on Sunday the 22nd, the fire brigade were called to 19 Demesne Road, where a blaze had occurred and had taken hold and significantly damaged the property structurally. All the occupants but one have been accounted for. These circumstances are obviously extremely suspicious, and a detailed forensic examination is awaited at all the premises, which are presently secured, and potential evidence is being preserved. Experts from the UK will be attending the island in order to carry out detailed forensic examinations. The premises are within a very small radius of each other, and taking this into consideration and the unusual circumstances of the other fires, the constabulary mounted an investigation that's commensurate with that of a murder inquiry. A team of around 60 officers are currently engaged on the investigation, and steps have already been taken to preserve the various scenes. House-to-house inquiries are already ongoing, as are the searches of the surrounding areas. Lines of inquiry are being identified and prioritised. A full programme of victim support is in place, and high visibility policing has been arranged and will be deployed in the area. Rest days and 12-hour shifts, for example, for our staff have already been put in place. The police have no identified suspect and have the following points of appeal. Number 1, anyone who has any knowledge of an individual on the island between the times in question who they believe for whatever reason may have perpetrated these offences, please come forward. Anyone in the area of Bucks Road between 1:30 and 3 p.m. on Saturday the 21st of March 2009. Anyone in the Peveril Street, Peveril Terrace, Clark Street or Demesne Road area of Douglas between midnight and 4 a.m. to please come forward. And anyone who has extinguished a fire in the area without reporting it to the police or the fire brigade at any time over the last 12 months, please also come forward. And anyone who they believe has any relevant information to this investigation. The contact numbers are the Isle of Man Constabulary Incident Room, which is 01624 631 263, or alternatively Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111.
This is a serious fire, I believe, not the weekend then.
Absolutely. Crews were faced with a very difficult situation with a serious fire that had taken hold in a property 19 Demesne Road. And on arrival, there were multiple rescues that had to be performed where people had presented themselves at windows. So quickly crews had to get ladders off the top of the appliance and get to work with ladders, whilst simultaneously commencing firefighting operations so that they could make an attack on the actual fire and make an entry into the building.
So it wasn't until a lot later that this body was discovered?
That's correct. Firefighting was such that we were aggressively able to make progress into the building, but unfortunately conditions deteriorated to such an extent that part of the roof started to collapse, and that created such dangerous conditions that the crews had to withdraw, and we commenced what we would call defensive firefighting operations, which is external. So we brought in an aerial ladder platform and fought the fire from above and from the outside.
How were your suspicions raised about the possibility that this was a deliberate fire?
Well, it's a combination of things, really. The seriousness of the fire upon arrival, and then obviously the fact that there was one person unaccounted for, and this has subsequently been determined to have been a deceased person. So obviously now this is very much a police-led investigation, and we will assist where possible.
And what message do you want to send out to the public then? Because, I mean, technically there's an arsonist out there who may strike again.
The message is very clear. It's about the fire safety fire safety work that you should be doing at all times. And for those people who live in flat-type multi-occupancy premises, it's about ensuring that the fire alarm works, that the means of escape are maintained clear, because quite often they're shared communal areas. Checking that you're not storing combustible materials where they're easily accessible, i.e. in the backyard or in the back lane type of areas. So it's about just ensuring that those fire safety precautions that are in your premise are working, they have been tested, they are being checked and being maintained properly.
And of course, there's a good possibility that people have had fires over the last few days, maybe months even, who have just thought it was just one of those things, a bonfire got out of control or whatever. You want those people now to come forward?
Yes, that's part of the message that's coming out from, obviously, the appeal that's just been made by the Chief Constable, is that within some of these incidents in the very recent past, they've not been reported to either the police or ourselves. So it's absolutely vital that all of that information is collated to form part of the bigger investigation.
So, Mr. Langdon, I mean, this looks like you're looking now for somebody that's setting fires in the Isle of Man, a serial arsonist?
Well, professional judgment tells us that the circumstances of 4 different fires within such a close timescale would say that we are looking for somebody that's deliberately set fire to premises. The health warning to that is there's an awful lot of detailed forensic examination still to be done, and we need to eliminate every possibility that it was caused in a way other than deliberately. But at this moment in time, we've chosen to investigate this as a murder investigation based upon the premise that we can always work downwards as opposed to ratchet something up.
Should people be concerned in the Isle of Man that this person may strike again? I mean, are there precautions that people should take?
I mean, obviously, we reassure the public in the context that the crime levels on the Isle of Man are extremely low. However, I can't eliminate the fact that something like this may occur again. What we would ask is that people take all due precautions, that they make sure that they know their fire regulations, make sure that they know the fire alarms are working, make sure they know where the exits are, make sure that rubbish isn't in the backyard, and just be vigilant at this moment in time. What we're doing as a constabulary is putting high visibility patrols. We've cancelled rest days for our officers, and they will be working 12 hours a day, and we'll be directing them into the area to provide public reassurance. At the same time, we've got a major incident room with 60 officers that are working on the case. They're professional officers. They are high achievers in terms of arresting and detecting crime, and we're placing every emphasis we possibly can on making sure we get to the bottom of what exactly happened.
And you're bringing people in from the UK?
The only people we're bringing in for the UK are forensic experts and crime scene investigators. We have a number of scenes that should be treated differently in terms of contamination of evidence, and what we want to make doubly sure is that we've got the right numbers of experts, and some of those we're having to bring from the UK, whilst at the same time using our own. But this is a professionally managed investigation, and one where the evidence has been secured and preserved, and time is on our side, having preserved the evidence, and will take as long as it needs.
Have you got anybody in line for this at all yet at the moment?
We have no suspects whatsoever, and as I've been at pains to say, that what we need to do is find out precisely what occurred, and that's a meticulous examination of all the evidence, the forensic evidence, the other material, and we need to take a long look at this. But in the interim period, I think it's entirely right to treat this as a murder investigation, based upon the premise that we should be taking the opportunity at the early possible stage.
And why is the body being left in the flat?
The premises concerned are so structurally damaged it's unsafe for any officer or a member of the fire brigade or member of the public to enter. There'll be a full assessment in terms of when it's safe to do so and what's the safest possible route and what order we need to direct the experts to enter the premise. That will be done in time and we'll only allow entry when it's safe to do so.
Does this arson, these events that happened at the weekend, does this tie in with any other forms of arson that have taken place over the last few months? Are you making any sort of similarities to other events that take?
Part of the lines of inquiry is to make sure that we know fully what has been reported to the fire brigade, what has been reported to the police, but as you've noticed from one of the points of appeal, what we're asking people in that area for is details of any fires that may occur that they haven't reported to the police or the fire brigade in order that we can establish a full picture.
Finally, how worried should the public be?
Well, the circumstances are as I've outlined to them. The measures that we put in place to eliminate and mitigate threats to the public, I believe, are extremely extensive. And what I'd ask members of the public to do is please be vigilant and report any suspicions that you have immediately to the police.
How are efforts going to stabilise the house and remove the body?
Well, as you can see, it's for the past couple of days, companies have been working quite hard to stabilise the rear of the property in particular. And to establish a platform where we can actually recover the deceased. So that's progressing quite well, and we're very hopeful that we'll recover the body later today. But that is being continually reviewed, and it's dependent on the nature of the structure and just how safe it is for us to put staff inside.
Any indication yet when the victim will be named publicly?
It's going to be some time before we formally identify the deceased. Okay, so. Obviously what we're dealing with is an intense fire, and we've got to do some forensic analysis and some forensic examination of the body first and foremost, and then it'll take a little bit of time after that to actually formally identify.
If the forensic tests show that the deceased was killed in the fire, will it become a fully fledged murder inquiry?
Well, at the moment we're keeping a completely open mind as to the causation. That's under active investigation at the moment. And as the investigation progresses, we'll make some decisions around that.
Have you received much sort of interest from the public of who potential suspects might be?
We're certainly having help from and assistance from the public in response to the appeals that we're doing. And all I can really do today is encourage people who are around this area, around Pebble Street area, Allen Street area, between midnight and 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, or between 1:30 p.m. and 3 p.m. around Bucks Road, Demesne Road junction in particular on the Saturday afternoon. That's Saturday the 21st of March, to come forward to the police.
And the other 3 fires, how certain are you that they're all linked?
At the moment we're keeping an open mind again in relation to that. Part of the investigation is to establish that very thing.
What would you say to residents in the area who perhaps need some reassurance?
Well, at the moment this is a very rare event on the Isle of Man. So all we could say to the residents around here is just be vigilant, take basic safety precautions in respect of fire, and just maintain a watch out for your own safety, really.
Where have the occupants from the other flats been staying?
They've been housed in various places in the Douglas area.
I believe one suffered minor burns. What's his or her condition?
We believe it was minor treatment only required, and they're fine.
Kevin, where are we up to with this? Is this now a fully fledged murder inquiry?
At the moment, I'm keeping an open mind as to what's caused these fires and what's happened over the weekend. There's active investigation on at the moment, both in terms of forensic examination of the scenes and speaking to a number of people. So as yet, I'm keeping an open mind.
Well, you put 60 people on it, which is in line with what would be a murder investigation.
It's certainly in line with that type of investigation, but you must appreciate that this is a rare event on the Isle of Man. There are a number of fires within a small space of time and within a very small area in Douglas. So it's incumbent on us to try and resolve that as quickly as we can. And the resources that we put in are commensurate with that.
Now, people may find it hard to understand why it's taken so long to retrieve this body. Can you explain more about this?
Yeah, certainly. It is a simple case of maintaining a safe working environment for all involved. The structural integrity of the house is certainly doubtful at this moment in time. There's a lot of work being going on to ensure that that's appropriate and shored up so that we can get people in to recover the body as soon as we possibly can.
Now, you've opened this line for the public to get in touch with you. Have you had much success yet?
We've had a number of people ring in, which is all very, very welcome. All I can do now is just urge more people who are in this area between midnight and 4 a.m. on Sunday, which is Sunday the 22nd, or 1:30 p.m. and 3 on the Saturday the 21st, to get in touch with us. Even if you're just walking through this area, it's important that we get to speak to you. You may have seen something which you didn't consider significant at the time, but may well help us.
Now, there's been no reported incidents of any more fires since the Sunday morning one, so do you think this is something that's out of the way, really, or should people still be on their guard?
Well, it's very hard to say, isn't it? You're quite right. To our knowledge, there's been no further reports. If there has been anything that's gone unreported, I'd urge those people to get in touch. But to our knowledge, there is no more fires. So people must remain vigilant, yes, but it's very hard to say whether anything more will happen.
When are you likely to name the dead person?
There are a number of inquiries that we've got to undertake. We've got to recover the body first and foremost, and there'll be some forensic examinations after that, and then it'll be some time before we actually make the formal identification.